Hi, I'm Ross King.
And I'm Lauren Brock.
Welcome back to Cook's Challenge.
The show where America's home cooks take on professional chefs.
Now, in my corner, I have a home cook, Cheryl Rizzo, who claims that she can make a lasagna everybody's good or maybe even better than a professional chef.
And I have in my corner Jeff Slatica, the chef at Spark Woodfire Grill in Studio City, California, who makes the most fabulous lasagna.
Okay, well, I'm off to Cheryl's.
And I'm off to the restaurant.
Then we'll meet back here and do the tasting. Okay? So, may the best cook
Chef.
win.
Chef.
Cook.
Chef.
Cook.
Chef.
Cook.
Chef.
Did you switch the oven off? Home cook, Cheryl Rizzo, in her very own home kitchen. Now, what Lauren doesn't know is actually your background is New Jersey.
New Jersey Italian.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's a cheat. That's a cheat.
That's what I'm cheating to win. Cheat to win.
Good go. So presumably this has just been in your background forever.
Yes, I've been making this since I was a kid.
Really? What age?
Probably like 8 or 9. I started cooking with my mom.
All right. And so is this mom's recipe?
This is my grandmother's recipe.
Really?
Yeah.
Here we are at Spark Woodfire Grill on Ventura Boulevard. What Ross doesn't know is Spark is Zagat rated and named one of the top 10 neighborhood restaurants in the country by Bon Appetit. Let's go meet the head chef.
The lasagna that we're going to be presenting to you today is actually named after a dear friend of ours, Mauro Vincente. He had unfortunately passed away several years ago, and we felt that he made such an influence on all of our lives that we figured that we would name a lasagna after him in his memory. So that's where the lasagna came from. So we did our version of his polpettone with the ingredients, similar ingredients in the bolognese sauce to make the actual lasagna.
So do the Italians hand it down generation to generation?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the only way to do it. It's the only way, that's all the secrets are in there, and that's where it all comes from.
So are we going to get the secrets today?
Maybe.
Okay, let's go to it. And
if you're good, if you're good.
Okay, so why do you think you can make it better than a professional chef?
Well,
boast.
I think because I've been, I don't know, it's hard to say because I'm sure that the professional chef has been cooking just as long, but I feel like I've perfected it to a place where there's no one who eats my lasagna that doesn't think it's fantastic. This is where we're going to chop everything up. You'd want to put I like a lot of garlic in my gravy, but you know, again, it's to preference. Here's another little tip that I'm about to give the world. You want to pull that out. Now that's very bitter, and that's what makes garlic very bitter.
Where'd you get your ingredients from mainly? Little Farmer's Market? Or?
I go actually to the Monte Carlo Deli over in Burbank, which is a little Italian deli, which is the only place in Los Angeles that I've been able to find authentic Italian ingredients like I would find in New Jersey. So
I love the fact that it's a little Italian deli. It's like the little Italian restaurants. Why are there no huge Italian restaurants? Everyone says, I know this great little Italian. Nobody says, I know this great, huge, massive.
I guess because they don't really make anything, they don't make any big, I don't know.
Where did Spark come from? Like, why did you choose to name the restaurant that?
Well, the key of our restaurant is that the cooking equipment that we have, we feel that it's very different than your normal restaurant. Our 3 main pieces of equipment on the front of the line are a wood-burning oven, a mesquite-fired grill, and a wood-burning rotisserie. And the name Spark came from the embers that came off of the wood after you would light the fire. There's a lot of sparks that are flying off there in the beginning, so we thought it would be a neat name for the restaurant.
Let's get started now.
Awesome. First ingredient that we have is we're using some extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
and we get the pan really super hot. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sauteing off some of our vegetables. The key ingredient in the lasagna is actually the smoked mozzarella.
Oh, really?
That's the secret ingredient that we have. The mozzarella that we buy, the gentleman that runs the company is 5th generation master cheesemaker. And the mozzarella that we use actually is fresh handmade mozzarella, and then it's smoked. So versus using your regular standard mozzarella, which most people do, we do a combination of both to kind of get the type of flavor that we're looking for.
So now we've added the meat, and what is the next step?
So this is just going to sit here and it's going to brown up in the pan, and what's going to end up happening is the meat's going to start to stick to the inside of the pan, and that's called fond. Once it cooks down and it browns, we're going to add a little bit more red wine to it, and then we're going to finish it with some brown sauce.
It seems like such a big pan to me.
It's actually a very small pan for a restaurant
It's
size.
amazing to me because this is huge.
Yeah.
It seems to be really noisy back here. What is all this noise?
Oh, this is all of our exhaust hoods that we have. If you didn't have these, the whole kitchen would fill up with smoke.
Oh,
So yeah.
that wouldn't be good.
No,
Wouldn't
not
make
at
for
all.
a very good dinner experience.
Now,
So then we just go ahead and throw this in.
So that's straight into the sauce.
Straight in,
slash
and
gravy.
you want to put that in early so it has a lot of time to cook in the gravy.
What did your first lasagna taste like? Can you remember it? And did Mom oversee the whole thing?
No, I did it when I was out here. I sort of took her recipe and then I called her many times, and then I would. Not only would I call her, and then afterward I would call her crying that it didn't come out right, this kind of thing. So she would say, "Oh, stop! You can't be perfect at everything right off the bat." So the other thing is, when you buy parsley, you have to make sure you buy Italian parsley. You don't want to, or what is often called flat leaf parsley if you're not anywhere where it's called Italian parsley, and you don't want to buy the parsley that you find as a decoration on a plate.
Right.
That's no good. There's no flavor there. So you want to chop this real fine.
Yeah.
Also. Now I have oregano. You want to keep it fine, but you don't want to overwork it, because if you overwork it, herbs tend to lose their flavor if you make them like a paste.
Got you.
So I try to just get it so it's still kind of flaky. Like that.
There we are.
So still soft. Okay, there we go. So that's the main herb ingredients.
Now, how often are you coming back and mixing?
Well, periodically you can hear it bubbling, and that you don't want it to bubble too much because that means it might be burning on the bottom some. So we have garlic powder. So even though we've put garlic, I still like to add a little bit of garlic powder, as much as possible.
Yeah.
So we add 2 teaspoons of this. Okay, and then we also add a little. I use seasoned salt. And I use that instead of regular salt.
Why is
It's
that?
another little secret because it has a little bit more of a flavor, a little bit more of a punch. I like to have a lot of taste to it. So now we let this cook for a little while.
Okay.
Where's the lid? Hand me the lid. Thank you.
At long last, I did something fairly useful.
You're gonna have more to do.
But,
You'll
okay.
have more to do.
Oh, we're gonna add it now?
right.
Wonderful.
You just keep adding layers and layers and layers of flavor, and then when you finally finish the product, it actually has got depth to it. When you're actually tasting it, it finishes not only in the front of your mouth, it carries all the way through your palate. So that's the whole trick behind this.
Wonderful.
So we're almost ready on this. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay.
We use actual sea salt,
Oh, wow.
and that's got a really nice flavor that adds to the actual product. The brown sauce is made with veal bones, a lot of fresh herbs. There's probably 6 or 7 fresh herbs that's in there, and we like adding the brown sauce to it because it really gives a nice deep flavor to the sauce.
All right, so we'll let this sit and get
Okay.
thick and move on to the next step.
Awesome.
Okay, so now we need to make the cheese.
Oh,
That's-
what have you got there?
This
Looks
is
like
the-
chocolate. It's white chocolate. That's
It's like
the secret ingredient.
That is the secret ingredient. Chocolate. No, this is Reggiano Parmesan, which I brought back from New Jersey on my last trip that I was there. Every time that I go home, I bring home bread and cheese.
Yeah. Did you ever think about cooking professionally?
I did for a short time, but I don't think I would enjoy it as much if I was doing it all the time. I like that I get to do it for a small group of people and not everybody and their mother.
And what did your mom say when you said, "I'm going to take on a professional chef"?
My mother thinks that she thinks that I'll win, no problem, is what she thinks. But she's also more nervous than I am. She called me this morning. I know.
So what did she say to you? What did she say to you on the phone?
This morning?
Yeah.
She said, don't overwork the cheese. Make sure you keep it light. Keep the air in it, which is something you should probably know, which is good. You do want to keep the air in it. You don't want to make it too creamy because then it gets too heavy.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about our lasagna is that it's light. So do that.
Okay. Now what I have to say that I'm slightly disappointed about,
What?
Cheryl,
Yes.
is that I was informed that you normally cook with a glass of wine in your hand.
I do normally cook with a glass of wine in my hand, but and I don't
Right.
actually use it in the gravy, but I which a lot of people do, and you can, but I don't usually do it.
So the wine goes into you and not into the lasagna.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Your dad would be proud of you because he's a big wine nut.
Yes, he's a huge wine nut. He loves wine. He puts wine in his gravy. Yeah.
Who's the best cook, mom or dad?
I have to go with my mom. I'm sorry. I have to go with my mom. My dad makes a killer gravy, though.
Right.
He does. He really does.
Well, that's because he puts alcohol in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Is that enough or
It's usually like 2 handfuls, so let's do a little bit more.
a little bit more? Okay.
Yeah. Now, I do this. I really don't know how much this is.
I love it. See, that's the way that I was brought up.
I try and do it just by what it looks like. Now, in keeping with my mother's not overworking the cheese.
Oh, yes.
We're going to
Because
not.
she's watching. She's not
She's-
overworking
yes.
the cheese.
So, so we want to do is we're going to add 1 egg, just to keep it nice and light, and we're
Okay.
keeping a lot of air in this. That's the idea. So, we're going to work that in. You don't want to beat it,
Right.
so you just want to mix it in lightly. If you like it denser, you don't need to add the egg.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining you in the kitchen with your mom. What's that like?
I tried to cook for her for Mother's Day. I tried to do it for her, and it didn't work. She had to cook and was up cooking before I was and had the gravy on at 7 in the morning and everything else. So I didn't get to do much for her.
Okay.
So it wasn't
was-
much of a Mother's Day.
She was
but-
showing the seniority there, yeah. She was
So-
taking charge.
Yes. She doesn't know how to let go. You want to add the basil in last to your gravy because that retains the flavor. And sort of mix that in. So you can
Getting hungry.
I know you need a nice piece of bread. That's what we do. So there we go. So we'll let that cook some more now.
Okay.
But what we want to do with the meat is we just put a little bit of oil in the bottom, just to coat it a little bit.
Can you afford to not go so high end, if I could say such an
Yeah,
expression,
you don't
on
have
the
to.
beef?
Absolutely, you don't want to spend a lot of money. The only thing I suggest is that you get something with a higher fat content. The more fat, the more flavor and more texture that it's going to have. We're letting the meat cook. That's the cheese is sitting, and that's it.
Good.
So we're waiting, and then we'll do the noodles.
Great.
We're with Freddie now, and what are we doing?
We are going to assemble our famous lasagna,
Okay.
and Freddie's going to take us through the process of how we go through and start adding all the different layers.
Wow.
The different ingredients that we have at is our pasta.
Okay.
Key ingredient, it is fresh, it is made in-house, and it is only 5 millimeters thick.
It's really almost transparent.
Yes.
Wow.
So what he's doing right now is he's just going to coat the inside of this, and he's going to
It's like
start laying.
greasing the pan.
Right, exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly. And after all of these layers are done, we're going to close it up and we're going to wrap the lasagna, and then we're going to finish that with a little bit more bechamel and parmesan at the top.
So then there's almost like walls on the
It's
lasagna.
completely encased. Everything is
Wow.
closed in. Right.
It's almost like wrapping a present.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
So do you guys both have a lot of fun cooking? You really enjoy doing this?
Yes. We both of us have been in the kitchens all of our lives.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I started when I was 12, washing dishes.
Is that like a normal process? You start washing dishes and work your
Typically,
way
yeah.
up?
Yeah, you start,
Okay.
peeling potatoes,
Wow.
all the grunt work usually in the beginning, and then start working in different positions in the kitchen, whether if it's pantry, the line, different things, saucier, which is making of the sauces.
Right.
That's an actual position in the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And then eventually work my way into sous chef position, which is an assistant to the chef, and then an actual chef, and then an executive chef position. So this is part of the first layer. Now what he's going to do is when he puts all this stuff together, he's going to mix all these ingredients together. All these flavors, all the layering that we talked about, we're now going through and doing more layering now. Because the bechamel sauce, there's actually one specific ingredient inside of this that's very unique, which is nutmeg. And that's the famous smoked mozzarella.
Wonderful.
Now again, this is handmade and smoked. It's hickory smoked.
Okay.
That's the type of wood that's used on there. And then he's finishing it with a little bit of the imported Parmesan. Now, the interesting thing about the Parmesan is that this right here is actually going to act as a binding agent for the sauce, because you've got all these different wet ingredients that are in there. So we put a fair amount of this inside of the lasagna.
In the layers.
In the layers. And it's going to pull all the different sauces together
Okay.
and kind of thicken it.
So are all the layers exactly identical, or?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same amount of sauce in each of the layers, same amount of cheese, same, yeah. What he just finished up right now is he just finished that last layer and he pulled over the sides. That's what the pasta was that was hanging over. And then a little bit of more the bechamel, some of the cheese, the Parmesan, the smoked mozzarella, and a little bit of the butter that he put on the top. Now what's going to happen with this is going to get covered and it's going to get put into the walk-in. And this is going to sit for at least a day before we cook this.
I take noodles that are considered no-boil noodles. We're gonna just let that start getting hot.
So just hot water from the tap. Right.
Hot water from the tap. I fill this up and then I soak them. I think that the texture comes out nicer. You don't want them to get too soft. And in the meantime, what we do is take a little bit of gravy.
Okay. When you're making it, can you tell as you're going along, you're going, this is going to be a good one, or?
I can. If this stays nice and light, which if you look at this now, you can sort of see that it has like a lot of air in it. It's not thick.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a good one. We're making a good batch
I think this
here.
is a good batch.
Marks out of 10 so
Lots
far?
of- I would say we're at a 7 right now.
7 at the moment?
I would say we're
okay.
7.
But there's still a chance for you to make it even better.
Oh,
now.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's about right. Pretty.
The meat just a little bit under.
Just let it cool a little bit so it's not piping hot when it
Right,
goes in here. This is the third and final layer.
Third and final layer.
Well, the top layer, I
Okay.
should say, yeah. So I guess it is 3 layers, really. We're going to come out with a perfect amount of this stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're just going to spread whatever we have left onto here.
Right.
And if you have more meat left over on top of this, it's fine. You just
Right.
put it in. You just put it on top. So you're just crumbling it on top, really. The Parmesan cheese here on top, and you just want to evenly coat that on there. And then we're also going to grate up some more of this. We're going to finish that up. I don't like to make a coating of it.
Yeah.
I like to just be able to see some of the meat and some of the cheese through it.
What you're feeling, marks out of 10 for your lasagna.
It's looking pretty good,
Yeah?
I gotta say.
Are we up to an 8?
I would say we're at least at an 8.
Oh.
It's looking pretty good to me.
Because you
I have
want
all
your
the-
10 out of 10 one to
That's
beat
right.
or be as good as.
It'll be a
Professional
10
chef.
by the time it comes out of the oven.
Yes.
So let's see. We usually just put this on 350, the oven. So this goes in at the bottom, right in the middle. And what we're gonna do is check it in about 10 minutes. We're gonna, if it's getting too hot on top, we're gonna just put a piece of tinfoil over it to sort of cover it a little
Right.
bit. And then just check and see where it is.
So there's nothing else that can go wrong. That's the only thing we have to watch.
That's it right now. I mean,
Perfect.
we're gonna watch the ends and make sure that the edges aren't curling up, which means that it might be too dry, which means we'll add a little bit of water.
Right.
But other than that, it's in there
Okay.
if it's good.
We just pulled out this piece of lasagna. This just came out of the pan that we had working in the back. This is after it's been baked in the oven, after it's rested. You know, we're gonna take this bolognese sauce that we had made and a little bit more over the top.
Oh, wow.
Just a few more ounces. A little bit more on the bechamel. This is gonna make it nice and creamy. So that, and then a little bit more now on that great imported Parmesan cheese.
So when I order this at your restaurant, is this exactly what I get?
Pretty much.
So this is the famous wood-burning oven.
This is the final process now.
I'm noticing that on the top of the lasagna, there's actually bubbles happening. The cheese is like boiling almost.
That's the last part of the process that we're actually taking, where the cheese starts to brown on the top and it's getting that smoked flavor. And
Wow, the final product looks amazing.
that's it. So that is our famous lasagna.
There is no way Ross can beat this. Thank you so much, Jeff. It was absolutely wonderful to be in the kitchen with
You're
you
welcome.
today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
You are?
I am. It's looking pretty good.
Here we are. Here comes Cheryl's lasagna.
There it is.
It looks good to me.
Yeah,
Looks
look at
nice
that.
and moist.
Nice and brown on the
Yeah.
top. And it's nice. There's still some liquid in it, which is really good. It's nice, so it has time to burn off.
Okay, marks out of 10 so far.
I'd say we're about a 9.
It's a 9.
9 right now.
We really could do with a 10.
I know. Well, I think we could make it a 10 if we put a little parsley on it. I think this sort of will cap it off.
Oh,
Just a little bit of something.
There it is.
A little something.
So this is it.
This is it. Look at that. That's not a 10?
You feeling confident?
I am.
I have every confidence in you, boss. I think we've got a winner here. Okay, what we're going to do now, get it in the car,
Okay.
back to my kitchen. We're going to take it to the taster.
Excellent. And we're going to win. Yes. Okay.
Here we are, back at our test kitchen. Challenger Cheryl prepping her lasagna side by side with Chef Jeff prepping his. Who will win the Cook's Challenge?
And welcome back to Cook's Challenge. Let's remind you exactly what the challenge is. We have a home cook who has to make a lasagna as good as or better than a professional chef. And here we have our cook and our chef, Cheryl Rizzo. I'm rooting for you, girl.
Thank you so
Go girl,
much.
go girl, go girl.
And we have our professional chef, Jeff Slatica, who I'm rooting for.
Okay, and of course we do have our judges here. Let me remind you exactly what you're judging on here. We're looking for flavor, we're looking for texture, and we're looking for presentation as well. All 3 judges have a card in front of them, left or right lasagna. Which one do they prefer, or do they in fact think they're equal? They can go for the equal vote as well. Okay, you don't know which is which. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Take your fork, take your knives, and taste away.
It's go to work.
Yeah.
Very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
Remember, our judges did not see our chef or challenger prepping their lasagna and do not know which is which.
Of course, for you, Cheryl, as well, it's normally like family members who.
Yeah, we don't usually stand around and say, "What do you think?" On a scale from 1 to 10. No.
Do you get a lot of feedback in the restaurant?
Oh, tremendous. Yeah, and this is definitely an all-time favorite. So, yeah, it's a very popular dish.
And how many of these are you making a day, roughly?
There's quite a bit. I mean, 30 to 35 on the high side on a busier night, plus selling it for catering and banquets as well. So it's definitely a good item.
Yeah.
Me too. I sell at least 30 of these.
Sure.
a day.
Yeah. Big family.
Yeah, it's a big family. Yeah.
Restaurateur Guy Nardulli, home cook Betty Ann Edwards, and culinary instructor Amanda Cushman cast their votes.
Okay, so you've all made your choice. This is the moment when we reveal which lasagna belongs to our home cook or to our professional chef. Okay, judges, the one on the left was Jeff's. The one on the right was Cheryl's. So they've made their decision. So what's going to happen? Who is going to win the Cook's Challenge? Is it going to be Cheryl? Is it going to be Jeff? Do you know what? I'll tell you after this. Welcome back to Cook's Challenge, and this is the moment of truth. Just who has won the challenge? Has our challenger, our home cook, Cheryl Rizzo, defeated the mighty Jeff the Chef from Sparks Restaurant right here in Los Angeles? Well, there's only one way to find out. We're going to look at the results, see how the judges themselves have voted.
I want to do it. All right.
Ladies first. Okay,
Thank you.
it's all yours.
Guy, let's see your vote.
All right. Well, they were both excellent, and when I choose my lasagna, I got to choose it somewhere close to home. So when I go out to eat at a restaurant, it's got to be something that I would make at home. So I went with the lasagna on the right.
And the lasagna on the right, they are for Rizzo. It's one for Cheryl. Okay. And again, just to remind everyone at home as well, it only has to be as good as. And if it's as good as, that's another vote for Cheryl. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Betty Ann, let's see your vote.
Well, they were both really good. And I love the extra sauce. I usually wear it very well.
Me too.
But the smoked cheese really got me.
Jeff on the left.
All right.
So this is it. So it's 1-1. So this is it.
This is the final decision. Amanda, let's see your vote.
I also thought they were both fantastic and they were really different. So, but given that I like food that's a little less rich, I voted for Cheryl.
The home cook beats a professional chef.
Wow.
Congratulations.
I am very surprised. Thank you. Thank you.
It was a split decision. Jeff, can I just say what I think you're an unbelievable sport because you had a lot here at stake.
Right.
So, and how do you feel?
I feel great. I mean, I'd like to taste your lasagna.
So congratulations.
Very exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
And you know what? I think at long last we get to open a bottle of wine.
I was going to say. That is
So, do you have the glasses?
I will get
There we
them.
are. And the good news is now you can both taste each other's lasagna as well. We got some wine for you as well. So congratulations again to both of you. Both great sports. Judges, thank you so much as well.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
thank
Excellent,
you.
excellent.
You are all amazing.
And I know the great thing is you actually still want to keep on eating.
Absolutely.
So we'll let you carry on eating. We'll let us carry on drinking as well. To you at home, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget next week, come back right here for Cook's Challenge. We will take you on another culinary adventure that you won't believe. We're going to find out, will the underdog defeat the top dog? It all happens next week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's get the wine opened. There we
All
are.
right. Here, you want to
No.
pour?
You pour.
It might be dangerous if I pour.
No, I had every confidence in you.
You did?
I did. I just knew you were going to win.
I wasn't sure, but
Yeah.
I'm really glad I pulled it out. It's good. And I even forgot the cheese. So that's saying a lot.
But what about the cheese that I grated?
You're a great grater.
A great
That's
grater.
what you are.
I'll put that on my resume.
That's why we won, I think. Yes.
Well, anyway, and for your mom and for your grandma,
Oh, thank you very much.
cheers to them as well.
Hey, Ross. These dishes are really beautiful.
They are, aren't they? Viva Terra. You know, the best part is that they're all made from recycled glass.
Really?
Yeah. And they look even better when they're clean.
Yeah,
Hint.
yeah, yeah.
Hint.
I'm working at it.